was given some paper cranes. More babushkas. Those are the people that survived. Just getting into Nagasaki. It's a very strange feeling for me. Just doing all this research about a lot of interesting history. Portuguese, Chinese traders. But then I just finished researching atomic bombing here, American. Man, this is like a really eerie feeling. It's intense. Well, all this was obviously rebuilt. You know, right in the bus station over there, there was like, people in their 80s, 90s that were alive when that happened. That might be from survivors. The first people I see, first steps standing in this solemn place. Oh man, it's like really crazy to think about. Little tram system they got. Thanks to our Serbian friend, she posted on her stories from the 1960s. Let's go. Nagasaki. You can read that. Nagasaki National Peace Memorial Hall for the atomic bomb victims. I'm gonna go in there. I'm probably not gonna film in there too much or take that many photos. It's a real sombering kind of feeling I'm having right now. The mountains ringing the city are beautiful. City's functioning once again, rebuilt. October 9th, 1945, and the end of the worst war in world history. It was a real scary event though on these grounds that I'm walking right now. Let's learn about it and think about this history in there, back there. Memorial back there. Museum over here. Gonna go in the museum now. Entry to Atomic Bomb Museum. This is a heavy feeling actually. I always thought about coming to one of these cities for some reason, not for dark tourism, just it's really crazy to think about, man. So the Catholic Church that was destroyed. The images at dawn. The ruins at dawn. Almost everything flattened, gone, trees vaporized. Jesus. Dome signifies, but every 5 years, from 1945 on, goes around this staircase. There's some nice paper cranes. Alright, this might be the last that I film or do anything in here. It's a little bit of an intense subject. So, let's check this out. Jeez. Was the ruins of the actual cathedral in the museum here. 1800s built cathedral. At the end of the museum there, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Experience two cities that rose from the ashes. Now look at them, super nice. There's the statues. Get some good food. I just was looking at this famous image. Yeah, boy, look at that. That's in Nagasaki. There's a remembrance hall for the over 70,000 people's name. Oh wow. If you add in all the after effects of radiation like cancer and different disease and the injured that died of the injuries as of August 9, 2024, 1,900. Include the initial over 70,000 deaths right near here. This memorial is for all 198,785 of 2024 that died from the injuries or after effects of the bombing. Oh my goodness. Just Nagasaki, there was an additional. Oh man, immediately coming out from there, Very well put together museum of the events starting from 1102, and then the after effects, some really brutal pictures of video, bodies and bones, charred people and burn marks and everything, and children. This basin lit up by approximately 70,000 fiber lights. These lights represent the estimated number of people who lost their lives. The atomic bombing. You know, it's crazy to be standing here where this occurred. And then a lot of great information about the nuclear war, nuclear weapons in general, and the proliferation and tests by all the nations, especially the Soviet Union and USA over the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, all that stuff, and which countries have them now, and calls for peace, and now there's the light. Each one represents one person. Whew, that was intense. The hypocenter of the atomic bombing is approximately 250 meters from this point. Oh my God. Children putting a white dove into the sky. One is screaming for peace, peace. God, it's just, that's the worst part of war, is the children that get caught up in it. Imagine living here and thinking your country, you know, is doing the right thing, and experiencing an atomic blast somewhere right around here. So, boom. God. Nagasaki. Now it's brisk, cool rain coming down all of a sudden as soon as we come outside. That was intense, man. A lot of people in Nagasaki are Christian. They're praying to Mother Mary there. The children's faces turn into bones, melting. Oh my God. Right near here is the exact area called the hypocenter that the bomb blew up just before it hit the ground. Right in this spot. Crazy. Now it's a nice park. Jesus. Mother and dying child. 1945. 1102. 9 right there. Once part of a temple built in 1626, and they were moved here to the hypocenter. Everything in the temple was destroyed except for these stone pillars. It's a little bit of damage, but not bad. I don't know if they recreated some of it. And a bustling city around the center of a nuclear bomb now, with fall colors. August 9th, 1945, 11:02 a.m. local time. This spot right here, 500 meters above it, this was the hypocenter monument of the atomic weapon used in Nagasaki. Supposed to go there and offer your prayers. Just crazy to think about. Alright, I wrote up some thoughts about this on the bus. I guess I'm just gonna walk around the hypocenter of the nuclear bomb detonated here that have killed that many people total. Not at once, but about 70,000 from the initial bombing and the rest from disease and injuries afterwards. Oh my goodness. All right, here we go. Yeah, 500 meters above this pillar is where a second sun emerged in the sky to the people of Nagasaki. Something horrific beyond any measurement. That something similar happened in Hiroshima just a few days earlier. But so, alright, this is what I wrote. As an American, it's kind of weird speaking on this, visiting one of these sites, the 2 nuclear weapons ever used in conflict in August 1945. It's a somber thought, knowing the victims were mostly civilians, but also realizing, the aggressive and crimes of the actions of the Japanese Empire on others, including vicious battles between my country and this country before this World War II ending event right on the spot. The surprise attack of Pearl Harbor, in the Philippines, on tiny islands in the Pacific, in the sky with dogfights of Zeros and Spitfires, kamikaze suicide missions, naval battles, massive naval battles like Midway and Guam, Marianas Islands invasions, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, prisoners of war treatment. And that's just American stuff. There are all kinds of stories of Australians and Malaysians, Chinese especially, British. So, you can't not forget all that stuff for sure. Okay, back to the thing, to the final planned invasion. So, 1945, near the end of the war, the planned invasion of the Japanese main islands. You always hear about this as justification for the atomic bombs. They always say it would have killed 1 million American soldiers to totally conquer the Japanese islands. And who knows, the war could have gone deep into the 1950s and beyond. And also, who knows how many, Japanese military and civilians would have died in that crazy attack. Which, it's kind of weird. People visit this with their families to me, but a lot of people have somber looks on their face. Anyways, so that's the justification you always hear for these events that occurred right here. 1 million American casualties is the estimate. Up to 1 million. Was averted and ended the worst war in all of human history. Right in this spot. Almost exactly 80 years ago. 79 years. And in a few months, about 6 more months, will be an 80-year anniversary. So these were from a 1600 shrine that was destroyed. They put those here near the hypocenter. Okay, so that was justification for the newly developed bombs being used. The Manhattan Project, using high-tech science, chemistry, physics, and more by the greatest American minds they could find, like Oppenheimer, and getting advice from Einstein. He wasn't American, he was Jewish German that escaped Germany, but all kinds of people. And they were also scared that the Nazis were going to develop the bomb first. And even though they're on the same side of at the time, the Soviets with Joseph Stalin, who were insane too. So when the bombs were being developed, they were originally planned to be used on Germany, on the Nazis, who was thought to also be developing the weapon. They probably were. They were the first to make rockets, V2 rockets, and they had a bunch of great scientists. Yeah, so this is another thing installed here. This is the part of the cathedral from the 1800s, Catholic cathedral, that was destroyed. They built a new one. They brought some of the surviving walls, also to the hypocenter. Who's on top of it is St. Francis Xavier, Portugal, Goa history, Goa, India, and Malacca, who was a missionary to Asia, including here in the 1600s. That's so bizarre. But yes, I offered my prayers. That's what everybody's doing here. So yeah, the bombs weren't originally intended for Japan. But you know, the war started going south for the Nazis, with the Soviets coming in from the east and American gains, you know, taking Italy out of the equation. You know, and then Soviets taking Berlin. They found all the concentration camps and all that horrible stuff. It wasn't for them. For them, I mean, the bombs weren't for the Japanese initially. There was actually a good quote in there. I should have wrote it down to the picture in the museum about Dwight D. Eisenhower thinking that a different solution. He was like, it was Franklin Roosevelt. I'm like telling this about menacingly walking circles around the hypocenter of the bomb. Maybe let's walk around different parts of the park. So yeah, it was the Germans. Some German scientists in like 1937 that discovered that fusion of nuclear material to create energy was possible. So, you know, there's evidence that, you know, Germany was working on some crazy technology. So America got on it like in 1942, started developing it. The theories of Einstein and stuff like that. Yeah, so the bomb wasn't meant for them. The Japanese is what I meant. The explosive nuclear chain reaction occurs when a sufficient quantity of nuclear fuel, such as uranium or plutonium, is brought together to form a critical mass. This is the minimum amount of fissionable material needed to start a chain reaction. The chain reaction starts when neurons strike the heavy uranium or plutonium nucleus, which splits, releasing a tremendous amount of energy along with two or more neutrons, which in turn split more nuclei, and so on, which happened right above that pillar back there. But the first little boy used in Hiroshima was a uranium gun type of weapon that fired a uranium pellet into a uranium ball that was dropped by B-29 August 6, 1945 in Hiroshima. And if Japan didn't surrender after that, which they didn't, a second would be dropped, which it was here on this date, 11:45, August 6th, at 11:02 a.m. As a child, children getting caught up in these things is horrible. Just use of weapons like this with civilians. Civilians in war in general. When considering the present prosperity and peace of Japan and the development of Nagasaki, we must never forget the fact that about 70% of the victims of the Nagasaki atomic bomb, which exploded right here over this city, August 9th, were children, women, and senior citizens. 70%! What? That's horrible. It's children. Alright, back to my write-up. All colored leaves here. It's getting dark. It's cold in Nagasaki. It is cold. Lots of people visit this spot. And a lot of people are in the museum. Okay. So it was dropped here, and surrender finally occurred, ending the most destructive war, World War II, most awful war, where nearly 100 million people died. 50 million, the estimates are hard to put, but both in Europe and Asia. Soldiers, civilians, children, random bombings of towns by both sides. You know, people tortured and killed, and camps and starved. World War II was so horrible. Only 80 years ago. 79 years to be exact. This spot ended that. Crazy. Those estimates are 70 to 85 million deaths were caused by World War II. 75. The most horrible war in all of human history. It killed 85 million people in the world. Ended right on this spot with the last atomic bomb being dropped in Nagasaki, 50 meters above that pillar back there. And that's just crazy to think about. All the horrible things, concentration camps, the bombing of civilians, the torturing of people, the treatment of POWs, the children and families and soldiers that went through hell, the Soviets and the Eastern Front, people freezing and dying. All those years, all that destruction, carpet bombing, fire bombing Japanese and German cities, rockets going into London, the Blitz and the destruction of Poland, and I don't know, you talk about Asia, man. The Japanese Empire taking over everything, and the naval battles and everything. All ended right here. So the first two cities chosen were Kyoto and Hiroshima. They were the main two, and Yokohama, I've heard a couple of different sources, but the area basically around Tokyo was the second choice. Either Yokohama, another city near there, or Tokyo Bay. And Kokura were backups to those two. So Hiroshima and Kyoto were the first original choices. And criteria was a large urban area over 3 miles in diameter that hasn't suffered much firebombing damage, which in some ways was worse, like in Tokyo, where the fire bombs, over weeks and years, really months and years, these bombs, were relentless, and cities often would and quickly went up in flames. Like, look at Tokyo was destroyed with just fire bombs. But I guess one shock attack of a nuclear weapon is something different. Still. Anyways, this is a direct quote. Bombing them, one of those cities, would achieve, and I quote, the greatest psychological damage and make the initial use sufficiently spectacular for the importance for the weapon to be internationally recognized when publicity on it is released. These might be convincing to change the never surrender or die, even by suicide over surrender, to loyalty to the emperor, to the death that Japan might change. So, a lot of people don't realize, man, they had a no surrender attitude. Bonsai charges, into American soldiers, pure instant death. They would explode themselves in caves with grenades and hoping to take out as many Americans as they could. They would commit death by ritual, samurai sword, kamikaze airplanes flying into ships, and they would convince people, like women and children, that they would get treated horribly once the Americans captured them. They jumped off cliffs to their deaths instead of being captured. And the loyalty was so strong. The guy I read about that was on a Philippines island until the 70s. He survived there, and he would be picking off local farmers. He never surrendered. He didn't know the war was over. They finally, actually, some adventurer went there and found him. That was Japanese, some travel guy, a hippie, and he talked him into finally leaving the island. It was dedicated, man. They were die-hard fanatics, really. So they wanted to create a psychological effect into the psyche of the fanaticism. That summer, the history buff, though, U.S. Secretary of War, I forget his name right now, but he demanded Kyoto be removed because of its cultural integrity and history. And Nagasaki here was changed as the backup to Kokura. So many armament factories, like the Mitsubishi steel mill and plant, were in Nagasaki. Plus, it's surrounded by 3 sides on mountains, which is maybe like to ensure more damage in a condensed area. Maybe are the reasons why it's chosen, but maybe, who knows? It was the hundreds of years of the old history of unfriendliness to foreigners that influenced this decision. Who knows, really? But within 24 hours, though, Nagasaki got really unlucky here. Nagasaki got really unlucky then. The city that was originally targeted for that morning, Kokura. Saying it right? Kokura. The city was changed like within 24 hours because close by, smoke from a firebombing that the Americans did, and some bad weather obscured the city. What? It's not funny. That's horrible. It's like, what? They changed it to the backup Nagasaki here, and they actually were flying above. It wasn't quite clear till they saw the towers of the Mitsubishi plant. So they almost gave up on the mission. They were running low on fuel, but they saw the building, and see, there indicates the site. They saw the building. Here's some information, and they dropped the bomb from the B-29 bomber. But Kokura lucked out, didn't get it damaged, and it's the origin of the saying Kokura luck. And I was reading some other story about a Japanese scientist that made some groundbreaking medical invention that's like saved countless lives, and he was from Kokura, and he would have been in that bombing, but wasn't because of the changing of the city. So he was like the ultimate Kokura luck. Wow, I wish I remembered that story too. Exact name. That's that early morning, about 1 a.m. B-29 heavy bomber took off from the Marianas Islands, across the Pacific here. Guam U.S. Air Force Command okayed the mission, and the plane left that morning. So it blew up, dropped from about 9,000 meters, 500 meters above that spot line. People keep on pouring in here. And it's estimated over 70,000 killed, between 60,000 and 80,000. One source I saw had the exact number to 73,844, and over 70,000 also injured. And the bombing in Hiroshima was even worse, more deadly, up to 166,000 dead. But it makes your skin crawl. Right around here, whatever was here, was like instantly people were vaporized. The hypocenter. Thousands were never identified. Their bodies just gone. All right. The heat generated over a few seconds showered down on unshielded people. In severe cases, the skin came off in sheets, revealing the subcutaneous tissues and bones. The burns were fatal within a distance of 1.2 kilometers from this spot. In the area of the hypocenter, the heat instantly carbonized human. The heat instantly carbonized human bodies and vaporized their internal fluids. I got this quote from the museum. They had some crazy, horrible pictures, man, of bones scattered around, other things. As of August 2024, from the initial bomb, dying from injuries or the after effects of radiation, 198,785 have died from the Nagasaki atomic bomb. People at peace. Okay. Find a few things now related to this site. Right down there, man. Right around here. Bomb went off the mushroom cloud. The wind. Right down there's a hypocenter part. Maybe it's like indented because the crater was formed, but it's possible. Holy shit. Alright. Want to be sensitive with the subject, but the tone I'm getting, which is nice, I get it. Peace. We're the people at peace. Peace in the world. Peace for all people. Of course, yeah, you can say that now after the fact. Hindsight is 2020. But Japanese weren't at peace before that early August. For damn sure they weren't about to settle for any peace. Maybe. But, you know, before that, for a good 15 years, and different times in history with civil wars, and okay, I don't know, just talking bad. Actually, right around here, where there was so much destruction and death, right where I'm walking, so that's terrible. I had to think about, actually. They rebuilt it nice, so look, condos, apartments. I don't know if I could live here. Would you live here if you were, I don't know, Japanese? I don't know if I could live here. That would be really weird. Alright, enough rambling. More rambling, but I guess that was part of the deal, right? Like, we'll let you keep your same emperor and help rebuild and, you know, make you part of the global society and get your economy going and democracy and everything. If you're docile and peaceful, claim peace, not non-aggressive stance. That was part of the deal that America set out for Japan. So I can see why that's plastered everywhere. But still, you know, a lot of in that museum, they kind of left some stuff out. It was kind of biased in some ways, or sugar-coated. I don't know. It was still a very good museum. I like the views of peace for everything, but some things were like, you know, they kind of were just like, I don't know, like Japan was a total victim. They didn't do anything crazy for this to happen before. No, not at all. Sure. Points of view, I guess. That's how it goes. Where the hell? Man, a woman sheltering her child. The Peace Memorial Park. Very close to the hypocenter. There's a statue that was put in here in the 50s. And we're coming here now. Statue, actually. Pray for peace. And over there is the fountain. Same purpose. It's kind of intense, actually. Right on this site was a prison. Excuse me. Just 350 meters north of the hypocenter. It was the closest public building to the hypocenter. The explosion killed 81 inmates, including 32 Chinese and at least 13 Korean inmates. It was made of thick walls and concrete and reduced completely to its foundations. 118 people died on this spot. Now it's a peace park. Prisoners of war. There was a few Westerners too, not kept here, but somewhere else. Whoa, that light is bright right there. What is that? Alright, let's check out this statue. Nighttime's kind of weird, but do what you gotta do. And there's the statue for peace. Don't know exactly what's going on there. I don't know what that's depicting. The man's face, dress. He's pretty muscular. Look at those legs. Arms. Almost nude. I don't know. It's a respectful sight, though. Yeah, these two things on the side. People put flowers down. Wow. You know, there's probably a lot of people that have family members that are here. Stretches down that way. I was just rambling, but you know, been drinking a little bit. It's intense subject matter. Here's a word from the sculptor. After experiencing that nightmarish war, that blood-curdling carnage, that unendurable horror, who could walk away without praying for peace? This statue was created as a herald for the struggle for global harmony. Standing 10 meters tall, it conveys the profundity of knowledge and the beauty of health and fertility. The right hand points to the atomic bomb up in the sky. The left hand points towards peace. I guess that way. And his face is in solemn prayer for the victims of the war, transcending the barriers of race and evoking the qualities of both Buddha and God. It is a symbol of the greatest determination ever known in the history of Nagasaki and of the highest hope of all mankind. Seibu Kitamura, spring 1955. Right hand towards the bomb, left hand towards peace. That way. Maybe some simple. Famous statue, man. Famous statue for a crazy thing that happened right here. Symbolism learned on the other side here. 1955. Lasting world peace, and as a prayer that a tragedy would never be repeated. The elevated right hand points to the threat of nuclear weapons from the sky. Other weapons come from the sky too, but those are the worst ones. While the outstretched left hand symbolizes tranquility and world peace. Divine omnipotence and love are embodied in the sturdy physique and gentle countenance of the statue. And a prayer for the repose of the souls of all war victims is expressed in the closed eyes. Furthermore, the folded right leg symbolizes quiet meditation, while the left leg is poised for action in assisting humanity. Well, I was saying, oh, what's this all about? What does this mean? That's what it means. Year's anniversary. This park was created here. God, 10 years. Imagine how fresh that was in everybody's head still. Now, 79 years, going on 80, almost 80 years. Oh, here's some ruins right here. Whoa. Some ruined building. Foundations, it looks like. Crazy. The mushroom going up right here. Oh, it boggles the mind. Just everything just. Everything you could think of. Oh, this is where the prison was. Just sort of like Dan Carlin, Hardcore History, describes like even the insects were vaporized. And like birds just poof. Just everything. Like millions of degrees Celsius. Heat. The power of the sun. It's how the sun functions. Nuclear reactions. Humans to have that kind of power. Whew, man. It's still tripping me out to be here. At night too, walking around. Oh man. Even the fountain has crazy symbolism. The atomic bomb exploded. Thousands, probably tens of thousands, more, 50,000 people suffered terrible burns and died begging for water. So that's why they built this fountain. There was no water. And when you get burned really badly, it like dehydrates you like crazy and your body can't hold water. And like, man, that museum had horrible stories of like children looking for water and just the people, like some of them they thought were okay. oh, you survived the bombing, and like they died like within a day of some horrible thing, cataracts in the eyes. Then their hair, some people's hair started falling out. You had the people with the burns. Oh, God. You made up a good point. History is history. We gotta move on. Of course, you can't forget. And you can't forget that these weapons, worse than the one that was used here, bigger, explosion density exists still. But you can't let it just, affect everything. Japanese did some bad stuff. Bad stuff happened to the Japanese. War is hell, my dad always said. War is hell. And this was the end of that horrible, horrible, horrible war.
We learned nothing.
Peace map, look at that. It has all the things in the city you can go see. There's a lot to see, and just a quick mention before we go on with that story. We got a nice stadium back here, mall, big buildings. What a rebuilding effort. The train is looking nice. Nagasaki bounced back, man. They got I don't know what sport they play there. Maybe football or baseball. Nice new infrastructure, good food everywhere. Mountains look beautiful up there. Gotta give credit to Nagasaki, man. Oh, there, yeah, you can see the seats. Wow, that is a big stadium. By here one more time. It's kind of interesting where the sun is right now. That's like where the event happened, right over there, the hypocenter. Went there a lot the other day. It was kind of nighttime though, so. All right, here we go. We're going this way. Cathedral. The Portuguese are around here, so a lot of people, Catholic actually, most in all of Japan, but here it's a collection of stuff from the original that obviously was blown up pretty bad. Mary and Jesus standing strong though. That one lost its head. Crazy. Yeah, the bomb went off like right over there. It's the center, so the shockwave and fire was really close to here. This was found. There's the church right there. Whoa. Just saw that full picture back there. The hill barren. All the buildings destroyed. The bombing, pretty close to the original. Here's some more things that were there during that day. Man, the glass just shattered. Bell. Whoa. Statues. That you can see from the bombing, but little things like this, those look like some old stairs that went up over this river. That is what was up there is now gone. That's a new condo and rebuilt, but stairs that go to nowhere. Ghost stairs. Whoa. Sano Shrine, one-legged torii gate. The second half was blown off by the blast. Whoa. One-legged torii gate of Nagasaki, which usually there's two. There was a shrine that was here. When you go into the shrine, this is all that's left because half of it was blown away in the blast. And it looks like maybe it was around this wall, the shrine, but that's long gone. Now there's new housing here. Here's the other half of it. laid over here. So we're a little bit farther from the center now, where I made that whole other video in the dark, rambling on. But if you're still with me, thanks. So what I kind of didn't talk about was the fallout on the city. So, you know, and what happened beyond the hypocenter. So the fierce winds went out many kilometers and knocked a bunch of buildings down. People got injured from that. And, you know, it sucks back in, I think. And the museum had some good information on this, but I didn't want to film in there. Looking back, I probably should have a little bit. Took some pictures, wrote down some notes, something like that. But anyways, in the mushroom cloud that went up right over there somewhere, it had all kinds of charged particles, plutonium, gamma rays, and gamma rays. God, see, I'm mixing all this physics information up. The gamma rays and all that were the initial blast. So if you're looking in this direction, or if you're facing here, it would have been like such intense heat. That's probably what knocked this down. Anyways, then the charged particles, plutonium, that rained down from the sky afterwards. And that was almost the most dangerous part. People didn't know. They were breathing it in, and it was getting it, you know, affecting their body. People that initially survived and didn't get killed instantly, or they thought they were okay, but they weren't, man. And that's the scariest part about nuclear weapons, is they're doubly bad. The size of the explosion, and then also the radiation. And so there's even people that were fine, survivors for like 30 years, and then they all of a sudden got leukemia or something, or whoa, or, you know, some kind of cancer. But there's a lot of people that felt it right away. Their hair started falling out in the weeks afterwards, you know. Bye, man. There were some pretty crazy stories in the museum of events that, you know, some children told later. The children that were in the bombing, they told when they were grown up. Or maybe it was right after, I don't know, but like their mother ran up and was like burnt purple, and she said, "I'm thirsty," and then her sister was on fire. These horrible stories, man. Resilience of nature is pretty awesome. So these two trees which shaded the shrine here, that was all but destroyed. They were initially, you know, stripped bare, scorched by the blast, and they were thought of as dead, but they miraculously came back to life. Look at that, green leaves on them still. So all the other buildings were smashed down, but these massive trees, it looks like a little bit, oh, that's interesting. They put money in there. With a little bit of help, looks like they cemented some areas. They made it through it. And it's still alive. Crazy cool. The shrine was rebuilt. The trees are still here. I think that's enough about the atomic bombing of Nagasaki. What a story and thoughts to tell. Might get a view tonight of the city from above. Talk about it a little bit more, but this was on a major road during the Edo period. So I'm gonna make some video about older Japanese Nagasaki history, including Portuguese, Chinese, and more. And they rebuilt the shrine, Shinto shrine. Here's the water thing, Nagasaki. Shinto ritual there. And around this forest area, thinking about this bombing, forgot about the spiritual side of things, you know, just the spirits of the people, the feeling in the city. Like when I first got here on bus, I could like feel I don't know, weird feeling. And especially around the hypocenter and all the different areas around this area. Walking around in general, the whole place. You could feel the energy of the birds fly around, so you could feel the energy of the earth was like experience something. All the people that were around weren't expecting something so crazy to happen. The gods. Eerie feeling around, for sure. People believe there's Satan spirits in places. I think there definitely is in these places where horrible things happen. And around sites like this. In the museum, seeing the bones and the charred bodies of children and stuff. Vanessa said there's someone that, said they don't even show the worst stuff. There's they make it look nice. That's even possible. America. There's pictures right after. There's the trees. Blown apart. There they are. There's the stairs reaches that. View from down below. Wow. Damage from that shrine. That's what it looked like. And these were pictures taken not long before that. This one was from 1944. Police or something. I'm sure those guys going through the times of World War II were pretty stressed and also pretty crazy. And then this was in 1942, it says. Look at the kids, man. A lot of these people probably didn't make it. But imagine what they're thinking. Nagasaki, looking good, rebuilt. Imagine what this viewpoint looked like. Surrounded on 3 sides by mountains. There's the museum, so that's where the bomb went off right there. I'm obsessing over this a little bit. Feels kind of weird, but yeah, that's the hypocenter. All this flat in all directions up there too. All rebuilt. Nice, even rebuilding up on these hills. How difficult that must have been. I wonder if they're the same families. Pretty intense looking over Nagasaki from above. Pretty crazy. I like that though. It's Ferris wheel. Looks beautiful, man. Really documented. It's kind of cool walking through these tiny streets on this hill here that were built long before cars. It's been kind of interesting. Down steps. Reminds me of some places in Europe I've been. The Caucasus too. I like that. Road for weary travelers. Yeah, little religious sites. Statues. This one's Buddhist. Maybe. Yeah. Not sure. Probably. But yeah, that one's in a cool old rock. And yeah, just a little old area. Interesting. arigato. Very cool. Very used trains too. Mon car. I like that one. That's the newer version, and this is the old school version. Yeah, very cool. Here, I just called my grandpa, who's 98 years old, and he told me the story how he was in the Air Force getting trained, U.S. Air Force, getting trained to be a gunner on the B-29 bomber, which means, or he was all trained and ready, which means like a bomber, the bomber that came here, he was on the gunner, you know, the window kind of thing where they had a gun shooting at planes and enemy planes or targets on the ground, like anti-aircraft or boats maybe in the water, or soldiers down there. So he was all trained, and he said he was in Lincoln, Nebraska, ready to go out here for the invasion of the main island. And on August 9th, or shortly thereafter, he got the word that this bomb was dropped and Japan surrendered. And he didn't have to go. Didn't see any action in World War II. He was really young, like 18, 17, something like that. Nagasaki. That was intense to talk to him about that. He got real serious. Usually he's, you know, 98 years old. They're on the phone across the world trying to talk. He got real serious, man. And he realized that I'm here. World-changing event for so many people in the world, including my existence and her existence. Our family were both in the military, U.S. military at that time. Bye, Nagasaki.